Hi everyone, welcome. I'm so happy to be on the Scrapbooking Cards Today magazine YouTube channel. And let me just quickly check if technology has caught up, if I'm actually live on the YouTube channel, and let me know if sound and video are good. And then, yeah, I'm Kathleen. I'm the Director of Marketing at Pinkfresh Studio. And we are very excited to be part of the partner celebration at Scrapbook and Cards Today. And we thought that today we would give you a closer look at our two new scrapbook collections. So we've got a lot going on right now. Just yesterday, we released our new August release, which is more sort of card making release with stamps, dies, stencils, all of the good stuff that is holiday themed. But I thought today we would focus on the scrapbook collections, which we released last week on Friday. And oh, good, you can hear me, you can see me, that's great. And last week on Friday, we released our two new scrapbook collections called Lovely Lane and Legendary. And both of these collections were created in collaboration with the wonderful Paige Evans, which you are probably all familiar with. And yeah, I thought I would give you a closer look at the two collections, what consists, or like what parts there are in this collection, and then also give you a little bit of inspiration of what you can do with one of those collections. I apologize if there's any sort of shaking. This has nothing to do with my camera or anything. It has more to do with our floors. We live in an old building, and not one bit of floor is even, so that's where all the shaking comes from. So I apologize for that. So I'm going to flip you around, and I will quickly walk you through those two collections, and then I will share a little bit of inspiration with this. And yeah, so one thing I wanted to mention, of course, or actually two things, that of course we also have a coordinating or corresponding blog post on the SCT blog, and you should definitely check that out and enter or leave a comment there to be entered to win a $50 gift card. And you can find the link to that in the video description and also pinned in the live chat. And then behind the Pinkfresh Studio name, I think it's Jody. Yes, it's Jody. So she will also help me out if there are any questions. And I just saw that Paige Evans also popped in. So hi, Paige. Very excited to have you here. Okay, so let me get started. So first of all, we have, as I said, we have two collections. One is more sort of feminine, floral, with lots of botanical vibes and all of those kind of dainty illustrations. And I will show you closer in a second. And then the other one is, if you want to, label things, and which, to be honest, I like using pinks and purples and flowers for boys too. So I have no problem with that. But in a traditional sense, this would be a more masculine collection with no pink inside, and lots of geometric and graphic elements, colors that are a little bit more on the masculine side, and lots of great coordinating products. I will show you that in a second, but first we will have a look at Lovely Lane, which is, of those two, is the bigger one of the collections in the sense of that there are a few more coordinating products. Hi, Kerstin. Hi, Beth, Victoria, Allison. So nice that you could all join us. And yes, Kerstin, who just popped into the chat, is one of our scrapbook design team members. So she will be creating with those two collections and give you lots of fabulous inspiration. Okay, so of course, I'm going to get started with the papers. The papers are always, I think, the sort of main part of a collection, of course. And I'm going to turn on my lights so I'm in Germany, and for me it's already 7:30. So let me know if that's okay or if you prefer the no lights look. Okay, so for our papers, we have 2 different sizes. Of course, the traditional 12 by 12 papers. And these come in a paper pack with 12 double-sided papers, so 24 different patterns in total. And all of these have this wonderful, smooth texture. They are really super smooth. They have a great thickness to them. And I think the colors in this collection are just divine. To me, they are like the perfect jewel tones. So you have these different tones of purples and pinks mixed together with this navy blue and this darker sort of teal. It's just a fabulous color combination. And I'm going to flip through the papers relatively quickly because we also have on our channel, on our own YouTube channel, we have a replay of a YouTube Live with Paige Evans where she walked us through those collections in detail. And I'm just going to give you a quick glance at all of this. And there are so many. So Lovely Lane is, as you can see, very much on the floral side. And lots of different sized florals, which is great for also fussy cutting, for example. And so you have different sizes to use. We also have some more sort of geometric or graphic designs like this fun zigzag. And then this blue is really beautiful. Some more neutrals. This one, it reminds me of sort of a wallpaper. This is a really funky one. I will show you a layout I created with this in a second. Of course, we have some stitched designs, some stitched lines here to as a nod to Paige's love of stitching on her projects. And this is probably my favorite sort of color combination in this collection. This beautiful sort of, I don't even know what to call this color. It's sort of an eggplant wine red combination. And then these two, and also one of my favorites is this one. And that was all of the 24 patterns. Now we have a 6x8 paper pack as well. And in the 6x8 paper pack, you get 24 papers. So 12, or you get each design twice. And the nice thing about the 6x8 is that the designs are actually scaled down. So they are not just, you know, the exact same paper, just as a smaller paper pad, but the designs, as you can see, are scaled down and made to fit this ratio. So you can have lots of different options for fussy cutting and getting those elements in different sizes. As for the embellishments, we have a fun selection of some sort of staples that we usually have in our collections, as well as some new additions. And I'm sorry about the glare. I will make sure to kind of tilt it in the light so you can see. So some staples that, you know, we usually have are, of course, enameled shapes and some puffy stickers, chipboard stickers that include some frames that you can use, cardstock stickers. This one includes 2 sheets, so you get one with lots of phrase stickers, and then this one with some designs as well. And then 2 different sized alpha stickers. The larger ones have these different colors, and they also include numbers. So I think these would be really fun to mix and match on a title, for example. And then these, I think I will need about, I don't know, 10 to 20 packs because they come in white and gold foiled. Let me take that out. Hope you can see it a little bit better this way. And they have the perfect size to add just like a little subtitle, or even for card making, or any sort of project for journaling. So I think, yeah, these are definitely something that I will need multiples of. So these are sort of the staples, I would say. And then, of course, for a Paige Evans collection, you can't not have floral ephemera. So we have these beautiful cardstock floral die cuts. And this is a pack of 38 pieces. And you get lots of different sizes and some different styles as well. So some with this kind of outline that look a little bit more like illustrated, drawn florals, and then some others that look a bit more like kind of like a watercolor look. Smaller florals, large clusters that you could also cut up and use, in different places, and also great for card making. So not just for scrapbookers. And then we have another type of ephemera. We have the hearts and stars. So this is 43 pieces in the pack with different sized stars and hearts with designs from the papers. I'm not going to show you all of them, just to show you like ready-made die cuts in those shapes that you could use for example, layering on top of each other. And then you could, if you do stitching on your layouts, you could stitch through them or even machine stitch and have some dimensional embellishments, mix them in with your photos. So I think these are great. A great thing to have in your stash and just, have ready, so you don't have to die cut them, and also you don't have to cut into your precious papers. And yes, for the flowers, I think you also need more than one pack. And then two more types of embellishments that I really love is the layered stickers. So these are, they all come with some dimensional adhesive on the back. I'm not sure if you can see, so these dots here. And then in between those layers, they also have dimensional adhesive. So they have this great dimension, they add depth to your layouts or to your projects, and are just, add that special touch, I think. And then we have a pack of rub-ons with 2 sheets with a mix of florals, some illustrations, some phrases that you could add to your projects. I think this is a nice mix of, different designs. So definitely one of my favorite embellishments in the collection. And then one new thing to Pinkfresh Studio, but of course something that a Paige Evans collection also needs, is a 4x4 mini album. And for the mini album, we used one of the paper designs scaled down in this beautiful navy blue and with these matte gold finishes here. So you get this kind of, what's it called? Label holder, I don't know. And these protected corners. So in this matte gold, satin gold. And then on the inside, you have this fun pattern. And the album comes with 15 page protectors in 3 different designs. So you can see here, this is what is usually out, part of the packaging. So all of the albums come in plastic, plastic wrapped, shrink wrapped. So you have 3 different designs, one without any, or just one large pocket, one with 4 square pockets, and one with 9 pockets to fill with, just some little bits and bobs. And I think, yeah, as I said, the a Paige Evans collection needs an album. And yeah, so Paige says she loves that the album comes with the metal corners and the spine plate. So yes, this is what it looks like when you get it out of the packaging. And it's really sturdy, really nice and thick, and can hold quite a few pages, I would say. So this is the Lovely Lane collection. And now I'm going to show you, or before I forget, I will show you one of the layouts I created with it. And here I use the 6x8 paper pad and cut out this design and then popped it up on some foam adhesive, mixed in some of the floral ephemera, but I also mixed in some, I think, must-haves from our sort of stencil, die, and so on releases. The Fresh Florals and the Garden Party. These are both stencil and die only product suites. And I think for Paige Evans collections, Paige Evans collections for me are, the first thing that comes to mind is flowers. So I need flowers. I always love adding more flowers to my projects. So this is where these come from. And then I just used some Pinkfresh Studio inks to color them in coordinating colors for the pattern paper. And make sure to check out our Instagram and also our product pages, because we always give or upload the design team inspiration as well. And we had, on Friday, we also had an Instagram hop to celebrate this new release. So make sure to hop along and see lots of inspiration with these collections. And I think the giveaway is still open to win one of each. Okay, now the second collection is called Legendary, and again comes with a 12x12 paper pack and 6x8 paper pack. And again, 12 double-sided papers, so 24 designs in total. And for the 6x8, you get all of the designs twice, scaled down. And I already worked with these collections a little bit, so some of the papers have been cut into already. And you can see all of the designs here on this cover page, which I always love, because you can even use this for a layout. You can cut this up and use it as for a design on your layout. Question: with Paige's paper packs, does Pinkfresh Studio list coordinating Pinkfresh Studio ink colors? Not yet. I have it in the works. I have a blog post sort of almost ready where we show you which of our ink colors coordinate best with those two collections. So it will be coming soon. Okay, so a quick look at the Legendary collection with, as I said, some more geometric designs and kind of, modern. And it doesn't have to be boy themed or, man themed. It can be for documenting everyday moments, for whatever you like. It doesn't have to be one thing or the other. And this one I really like, with these cute little houses and trees. So you could fussy cut those and create like a little scene. This is a beautiful color. So Deborah Roberts says, new ink colors coming in the future. Wonderful. I'm not sure if I kind of explain it badly, but right now I was talking about like listing the existing coordinating ink colors. I hope I didn't confuse anyone here. And just, lots of different designs that I think are great as, so you have some more basic neutral ones, and you have these that really have an impact. And this one this is all that's left from that one, and you will see in a second why. For this one, we have, this is also a great one to use for a layout. You could use these circles to put in your photos or to put your embellishments into those circle shapes. And there are no flowers in this collection, but at least some botanical item or illustrations. This is also one of my favorites. And then this is the last one. So I think, as I said, it's a good mix. And again, with the 6x8, you get all of these designs scaled down. And for the embellishments, we have some staples like our enamel shapes. Of course, we have ephemera with different illustrations, some phrases, some of the botanical elements, some cute things like these paint palettes or the sneakers, shopping bags, things like that. Then we have a pack, I think this one is really popular. It's the journaling ephemera. And yeah, as the name suggests, so this is just ephemera that gives you some space for your journaling. We have a sheet of puffy stickers, some great alpha stickers in that beautiful blue. These are really fun. Some chipboard stickers. This is actually 2 sheets of chipboard stickers, and some of them have matte silver foiling. A pack of cardstock stickers with 2 sheets, and a pack of fabric sticker or fabric borders in different sizes, some with designs, some with text, for that little, you know, just a different touch and texture on your projects. And then this is the layout I created with this collection so far. And here you can see why I used most of that paper already. And yeah, I think this is such a fun collection to work with, not just for boys, in general, for everyday stuff. And yeah, I'm really enjoying working with this. Okay, so now that I've talked your ear off, I thought I would also create a quick little layout with you using the Lovely Lane collection. And I've already got my photos here. I'm not sure which one I'm going to use. I have this one with just one large photo, and then of the same sort of moment, I have this kind of photo strip with 3. And yeah. And so there was a question if we sell single sheets of the papers. On our website, you can get the paper packs and also the bundles for each collection with a little bit of a discount. But you can get single sheets, or we sell single sheets to retailers. So you might be able to find the single sheets in your local scrapbook store or your favorite online shop. Yeah, so maybe check that out. So I had 2 different ideas for my design today. And I'm leaning towards my first idea, where I'm going to use the one large photo. Thank you for everyone for the nice words on my layout. And I thought I would do, so I did a similar page in the past, but you know, sometimes there's no rule against scrap lifting yourself. And I think sometimes that's totally fine, because if you really like a design, why not use it again? And especially when you use it with a different collection, it gets a whole different new look. And I thought I would do sort of like what's it called? I wanted it to look like sort of a torn note paper that I kind of attach to my layout, and then have this kind of on top, and then I would use some flowers tucked in here and there, and you know, that's sort of the vision. And so what I thought I would show you, because there are dies to create this kind of torn notepaper look, but there's actually a really easy way to do it yourself with tools you probably have already, and you wouldn't need a new die. And so I'm going to use this one because it has this, it kind of reminds me a little bit of notepaper because it has those lines. And what you can do is take a hole punch. It could be a crocodile or something like this that just punches like regular holes, and then punch some holes. Try to keep it sort of in a straight line. If you have a design like this with lines, it's a bit easier, and try to keep, you know, the distance between them even, or, you know, as even as possible. In the end, this is going to look like a torn notepaper, so it's not like anyone would measure if the holes are all evenly spaced, just roughly. You can see here mine is not perfect at all. And now what you can do is simply use your scissors and cut into those circles. Can you see that? So you just cut that opening into those circles. And once that's done, we are going to ruffle it up a little bit to make it look a little bit more torn and distressed. And you know, I'm not a scrapbooker that's into, like, my style is not very distressed or anything, but for a torn notepaper, I think that is definitely a good look. So now you can just take this and kind of, you know, ruffle it up a little bit, maybe even tear one of those a little bit like it was torn from those notepaper rings. And if you feel like you've punched your holes too much into the paper, you can just take your scissors and cut it off a little bit at the top. Like so. And now it kind of looks like it was torn from like a notebook. Okay. And then, whew. And you could do the same with your photo. I haven't decided yet if I want to do this or not. First, I am going to start bringing in some of the floral ephemera. And as I said, so if you, I mean, you will need more than one pack of the floral ephemera, but still, if you want to stretch your supplies a little bit or have something that always works, I really recommend getting one or both of these sets, the fresh florals and the garden party, so you can create your own flowers to go with this, and then you can adapt your the color scheme and everything. And you can see, like, this is so quick and easy to do. If you have these ready-made floral die cuts, you can just tuck them in here and there, layer them, and, you know, just add some embellishments, and you already have like a good solid start to your layout. And this is also a great way to use those 6x8 papers. You don't have to cut into a 12x12, and that way I also have the design scaled down. Now I am thinking or trying to see if I want to have another little paper behind it, but I want one that's not going to draw too much attention away from my photo. Okay, so this one is not going to work because it's too similar with the sort of design. And so this is a photo of my son chasing some bubbles, and he actually loves purple. Purple is his favorite color. So I'm trying to find a paper that could work with this, that includes purple, that I could use. Or maybe just like, you know, just as a frame. But then I also have the floral ephemera, so maybe not a floral frame. Decisions. Too many gorgeous papers to choose from. Actually, this is kind of fun because it looks a little bit like it's, you know, like a flower meadow. So that could also work. Trying to see if I missed any questions, but I think Jody's got it all handled. So I'm trying to see if I'm a bit torn, but I think I will not use a different paper behind the photo because I think with the florals in the end, it might be too much, but I will actually add some a torn notebook edge to my photo, which you don't have to do if you don't want to, you know, distress your photo like that. I totally get that. And you could even use a larger hole punch or a smaller hole punch to make it fit the paper you are using. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's start adhering things down. Now what I thought I would do is I'm going to adhere the larger paper to my white cardstock already, but I'm only going to adhere 3 sides. So I will leave an opening on the right side so that I can tuck in like a tag or something that I could put some journaling on, or like a pocket where you could hide some more photos. Or if you are scrapbooking some photos from a trip, for example, you could put in some travel ephemera, you know, things like that. I'm trying to put it a little bit to the right, so not centered, because my photo is going to go on the left. And trying to put it as straight as I can. And I'm putting this on, or the photo on the left, because he's running, in the photo, he's running towards sort of the right, so that it looks like he's kind of, you know, sort of running across the layout. Versus when I put it here, it feels like he's running off the page. And maybe that's just something that I think about. Maybe, you know, you are thinking to yourselves like, what the heck is she on about? But yeah, these are just some thoughts that I have when I work on my layouts and like the design. And I also love dimension on my layout, so I will add more foam adhesive, which you can definitely skip. So instead of putting foam adhesive here on the 3 sides, you could also just use regular double-sided tape or tape runner and leave an opening. So, you know, you can make it as flat as you like. I just really love dimension on my pages and my cards, so I'm good with that. And yes, so Jody just said, we would love it if you give this video a thumbs up. Definitely. Always appreciate it. And I wanted to mention, I think I haven't mentioned it yet. When you shop in our online shop, the new Scrapbook collections, right now there are a few of the freebie dies left that you can get with a $60 purchase of the new Scrapbook collection items. So it doesn't matter what pieces you buy from the new collections, as long as it reaches $60 total. And then you can get a free die. Just make sure to put it into your cart from the pop-up. So you have to put it into your cart before you check out. I think I will put that over that corner here and have those here. And instead of the flowers, you could easily use some of the hearts or stars. And I'm trying to see if I want to use some of the rub-ons, which I do. As I said, they are my favorite embellishment in this collection. Just trying to figure out which. Or if I want to use some larger pieces first. I think I'm going to use the happiness is homemade, because this, you know, this was such a happy afternoon. He was running around chasing those bubbles, and it was just basically bubbles, you know, just something cheap, something you can make yourself. Doesn't always have to be like a huge trip or vacation or whatever. And I always say that I think in the end, the small moments are what make life, you know, wonderful. And I've always loved scrapbooking those small moments. The reason I just put that puffy sticker on a piece of vellum is that now it's not sticky anymore, and I can kind of move it around and sort of audition where I want it to go. You could also use some anti-static powder to get rid of the sticky, but sometimes it's just easier to put it on a piece of vellum or like a scrap of cardstock. So I think for my title, I thought I would go with something like Wild Child, because he is my wild child. And Jody can attest to that. Like the times I've told her that I had to pick him up early from kindergarten or whatever because he had a little accident or something, you know. But I have to make sure that the child actually fits. Or I will do wild with the large ones and then child with the smaller ones. Because in the end, the wild is what I want to stand out. And of course, I'm going to do it in the purple because, as I said, that's his favorite color. And it's really nice to have some lines on this paper. That definitely helps in lining up those alpha stickers. And I also, although I feel like with something like wild, it shouldn't be all lined up nicely. It should also be wild. It should reflect that kind of wildness and chaos. So I'm gonna do wild, and then just so that it's not too large, and as I said, the wild part is the important one, I'm gonna do child. And these alpha stickers, so you can see I've already used, or I've used these on, on this layout where I already said you are my flower child. So he's not only my wild child, he's also my flower child. And you can see I still have quite a bit left, but still I will need more of those, that's for sure. Okay. So wild child here, and then maybe I would put it up here. Yeah, because I don't want it to be down here when I have the wild child. I don't know, it just doesn't look right to me. So let's get more foam adhesive. As I said, I love dimension. And I would love to hear if maybe you already shopped, if you already got your hands on some of these collections. I would love to hear what you picked, what your favorite part was or is. Yeah, tell us. And I feel like these torn kind of edges, you know, also kind of reflect that wildness. So it all kind of works together. Where are my scissors? There. What does the puffy sticker say? This one says happiness is homemade. And this kind of is a reference to the fact that these are just, you know, some cheap kind of homemade bubbles that we had fun with and that made him so happy. And also in general, because, you know, happiness is homemade. Okay. It is a happy photo. And I really love those 3 photos together because you have this kind of sequence, like him running and giggling and trying to catch them. So I'm sure they will make, you know, these photos will make another appearance on a project for sure. Okay, so also I did, you know, just a tiny bit of preparation where I cut both of these dies from vellum. So I would have some more things to tuck in that wouldn't add to, you know, when it comes to colors. So they wouldn't make it more busy, but they would still add some nice layers and some texture. So this is also a fun trick to do when you don't want to add more color, but you still want to add that little something something. And I think vellum is always a great idea for that. And another fun thing you can do is you can grab an ink pad of like a coordinating color and then take a blending brush. Don't need a lot, and then turn your die cut piece over and just ink blend. Hold on, let me get a scrap piece of paper, or I will make a mess of it. Okay, can you see? Okay, and then you can ink blend that on the back. I would recommend doing it on the back just so that you don't smudge the ink when you maybe touch the layout. You could also heat set it, but adding it to the back is probably the quicker and easier way to go. And this way you can color your die cuts and, you know, add just that little bit of color without it being too much. So I'm not sure if you can see that purple tint to the vellum. You can do that, of course, with every color. You can also do it with your white die cut pieces. It doesn't have to be vellum. But I think with the vellum, it just adds that nice little sort of transparent look. And I'm just going to go ahead and glue some of those pieces down. If you've never watched me like in a YouTube live, so a while ago, before our break from Scrapbook collections at Pinkfresh Studio, I used to do regular Scrapbook lives on the Pinkfresh Studio channel. And now I do card making lives. And if you've ever watched me, you will know that I usually don't have like a very detailed plan of what I want to do. I usually kind of fly by the seat of my pants and just like to experiment and try things and see what works. And sometimes that works out great, sometimes not so much. But I think that's kind of the fun of it. Yes, so I am using our Precision Clear craft glue. It comes in 2 sizes. This is the larger bottle, the 2-ounce bottle. And it's perfect for adhering basically everything, especially small pieces or like vellum, because it dries clear. And since it's liquid, it gives you a little bit of time to move things around if you'd kind of changed your mind, and you can wiggle things in or out. Oh, thank you. Your resulting cards look like you planned them for a long time. I didn't. Honestly, I think I'm never a time where I've really planned a card I of course try to think of, you know, a rough design idea, or like of course, what products I want to use, but that's usually it. So let's see. I kind of want to, like, I would love to use all of the flowers at once, but at the same time, I don't want to not waste them. Waste is the wrong word, because I'm not wasting them when I'm putting them on a layout, but you know, I want to save them. But I've learned that you should just use what you have and what you love, because if you save pieces for too long, your style and your taste also changes. And then a few years later, you look at some papers or some embellishments that you saved, and you just ask yourself, like, what was I thinking? Like, why did I like that so much? So that's why I am a fan of using what you love, because for me at least, when I put something on a project that I really love, then I usually love that that piece even more, or like that product and also the project. So I'm using some of the enamel shapes as my flower centers. And I'm just trying to have those two clusters sort of going from top to bottom in a diagonal so that it leads your eye across my photo. So that is the reason for that placement. And I'm just going to scatter a few of those around. And here I have lots of space to add some journaling, and here I can also tuck in some more journaling. And for that I can just create like a little tag. Like so. My desk is really messy right now, and my desk is way too small, so I'm just having to dig through things. And honestly, you could go on and on adding those florals and adding more and more. So I think that one looks cute up there, kind of peeking out. Someone said something. Hold on. Exactly, Sue. Life's too short. But hey, hold on. You said you used to keep yours. You don't now. You use them. But what about your 1-inch blending brushes? I remember you telling us yesterday that you haven't used your 1-inch blending brushes. So take your own advice. Use them. Okay, and I also try to kind of repeat colors in both clusters, if that makes sense. Okay. Hold on. Now, for the, as I said, my desk is a mess. I have stuff everywhere. Yep, I gotcha. So I'm just trying to see, so this one would actually make for a really cute note card, because when you cut it down like this, that you have only have those colored lines, that would make a cute sort of note card. But that's one of my favorite patterns, so I don't want to cut into it. And I already used my other paper. Now what you could do, how much time do I have? I have a little bit more time. I don't have to stress. So again, all of the designs or all of the papers are included in the 6x8 paper pad twice. So I don't feel bad about cutting into the first one. It's usually the second one where I'm like, do I really want to use it now? Do I want to keep it for something else? So just a quick rough cut first. And I'm not going to make you watch me fussy cut that all the way around. Just a little bit so that I can show you the idea that I have in mind for what I want to do with this. I mean, you could have a look at the legendary journaling ephemera and see if maybe there is a tag that would fit, like color-wise and design-wise. Or, of course, you could also just slide in a tag made from white cardstock or colored cardstock. You know, it doesn't have to be a design, of course. But sometimes it's nice to have that special little something. And as I said, I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing. I will finish fussy cutting that later. But just to give you an idea, hold on. I'm not sure if it's too big, if I have to cut it down a little bit. My vellum gets in the way. Like this. So now you would have this peeking out. You could even maybe use your crocodile and put in an eyelet and then tie some string into it. And then you have this pull-out piece that you could either add your journaling onto here, or you could even fussy cut the whole wreath and back it with another photo and then put your journaling on the back. So there's lots of different options, but this is just one idea for what you could do. Or of course, just a regular tag. That sounds like thick paper. Yes, it's 80 pounds, but it's really thick and sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Is hefty a word like that you would use for that? Sometimes I struggle a little bit with that, but yeah, it's a really good weight, and it even works really well for mini albums. So if you have for score lines, your paper will not tear when you add some score lines or try to fold it or anything. I'm just looking if I missed a question. Are we using Lovely Lane 6x8 paper pad? Yes, sort of. Yeah, I only use the 6x8. Actually, that's true. But this could also, of course, be made with a 12x12. It would just, the design, the pattern would just be on a larger scale. Here now I have some space now to add some journaling if I want to. I don't want to cover, or you could add more florals if you like. I mean, you know, you can always add more florals like so, or cut them up. But I don't want to overdo it if there's such a thing with flowers. So I'm just having one last look at my embellishments to see if there's anything else I want to add. Or if not, or you could just add like a heart on top here, maybe in a different color. So let's see. Smiles and laughter also fits really well. But I already have that text, so I feel like, if anything, I only want to add some designs and not more text, maybe. I haven't had a look at the cardstock stickers yet, I just realized. Where are they? They've gone missing on my desk. There they are. Having a look at this one, because it also kind of repeats that. I mean, this is more of a stamped design, but still, I feel like this looks really nice. So again, putting it on some vellum so that I can try it out without having to commit to it just yet. I'm so bad with my small scissors. I work so much better with large scissors. I think that looks nice. Feeling deeply, living fully. Even though it adds more text, but still, because it also repeats that design, I like it. And you know, it's my layout, so I get to make the rules for my layout. So. Nope, nope, up here. I want it to look like a stack of notes that has been sort of pinned to like a memo board or something like that. Where did you go? There. Okay, so what did you all say? Some dots or puffy hearts, definitely. Like always, enamel dots, things like that always work, and I usually add a few more in the end. I will probably, or you could also have a look at your stash and add some from there, because I think, or at least if you're like me, you will have tons of enamel dots in all colors of the rainbow in your stash. Okay, now I do want to add some of the other designs, but I don't want to layer it with my photo because I feel like it would take away from the photo. So there's one more trick that I can show you if you want to incorporate just, you know, just a really tiny bit of a different pattern paper without it being too much. Now let's see. Let's first decide on which one. I want one with a sort of a darker color, maybe this one. Or we will see. Hold on. So what you can do is hold your breath. You can tear your layout a little bit. And I mean, this just goes with the sort of torn notepaper distressed part. And then I curl up this little piece here, like so. And then you can tuck some of the pattern paper behind that. It's not much, you know, it's not like you would see a whole chunk of a layout, of a paper, but it's just that little bit of added something. And this is also a perfect way to get some use of your paper scraps because you don't need much for this. You only need like a small sliver of a paper and then you can add this to your layout. And you can just kind of move it around to see which part you want peeking out. So I'm trying to get a part where I have lots of different flowers showing. And you could even, I'm not sure if I have any more. No. Should have refilled that, but you could take your stapler and staple that down if there were, you know. How often we cringe if our paper gets bent before we use it. Yes, and then we bend it ourselves. Or, you know, you could also use some, ooh, maybe I should have used this one for my note paper, but maybe it would have been too much. Anyway, it's too late now. And you could even do one more at the bottom to have it kind of repeated. Or if you want to keep that space for journaling or whatever, you can just keep it. So yeah, as I said, lots of different options. And you could even add some paint splatters or, you know, whatever you like. So apart from maybe my journaling and finishing fussy cutting this piece, which again, I don't want to make you watch, I am done with this layout. And I mean, this came together in less than an hour because I think we did about 20-25 minutes-ish for presenting the collections. So this was about 35-40 minutes for the layout. So I hope you enjoyed this. I will give me a second to clear some things off here, and I will turn my camera around. But first, hold on. So it is now 8:30 p.m. here, so it's a little bit darker outside. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you had some fun seeing some scrapbooking inspiration. And yeah, because I don't know, I feel like scrapbooking is, you know, kind of slowly not disappearing, but it's getting less, I feel. So at least for me, it's always nice when there is more scrapbook inspiration. And I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got some ideas for how you can use your lovely Lane and Legendary collections, or get your hands on some. Make sure to leave a comment on the corresponding partner celebration blog post to be entered to win a $50 gift card. And you can find the link in the video description or pinned at the top. And thank you, Jody, for moderating for me. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. It was a lot of fun, and I hope to see you all again soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.